Nigeria's maritime legal framework extends beyond United Nations laws on sea convention and includes various regulations aimed at reinforcing its commitment to responsible maritime practices. The Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999, as amended, the Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency Act, the Coastal and Inland Shipping Act, and the Admiralty Act collectively form a cohesive framework for maritime governance. This legal ensemble supports Nigeria's aspirations in the blue economy, ensuring effective regulations for a sustainable and prosperous maritime future. How viable is the blue economy to Nigeria? What are the hurdles needed to be crossed for Nigeria to launch successfully into the blue economy? Today, our policy focus looks into the blue economy for economic growth. Thank you for joining us. I am Lydia Odije Ochi. Before we continue, let's take our news update. Stay with us.
Hello and welcome to the news update. I am Helazura Gwari. The Special Advisor to the President on Policy Coordination, Dr. Hadiza Bala Usman, has called for collaboration with the National Institute for Policy and Strategic Studies, NIPSS, on some key sectors of the Nigerian economy. This was during a courtesy call on the Director General of the National Institute, Professor Ayo Omotayo. The report.
Dr. Hadiza Bala Usman acknowledged that collaboration is paramount so as to chart a way forward on policy frameworks, formation, conceptualization, monitoring, and evaluation, according to the current realities at hand, adding that NIPSS is the backbone of policy formation in the country.
For me to succeed in my work, I will need the Institute to provide the support, to provide us with the backbone that is needed for the government to chart out its clear areas of coordination in terms of policy.
In his response, the DG, NIPSS, expressed his readiness for the partnership, adding that NIPSS is the only institution that has the mandate to intervene in every sector of the economy and should be known for the quality of the policies they generate.
You will be the first person that is this high up in government that will accept that people take policies for granted. Policies cannot be taken for granted. And it is not anybody that makes a suggestion feels it's a policy. We need to move away from thinking that policy is a mundane thing that just happens. They have to be well thought out.
The Director of Studies, NIPSS, Kuru, Professor Fumi Paramalam, MNI, said there is a need for a holistic and integrated approach on policy synergy so as to avoid incoherence and policy failure.
We expect that there will be much more engagement between the National Institute from the level of the senior executive course, but most especially, as the Director General said, from the level of policy engaged research.
The head Public Affairs Department, Professor Shola Adeyonju, MNI, said the visit is a working meeting to arrange partnership in areas of interest to finalize issues for further actions.
The fact that you decided to work with the National Institute, I think is a very big plus for us on policy coordination. So it means that the ball is now in our court to see how we can take the partnership further.
There was an in-depth brainstorming session on the agenda, resolution, and work plan on strategic policy review, monitoring, and evaluation. The key sectors to be reviewed are education, health, agriculture, mining, security, and manufacturing, respectively.
That's the news update. Thanks for watching. The program continues. I am Helazura Gwari.
Welcome back, and thanks for staying with us. Back to our topic. Over the years, Nigeria has faced challenges such as illegal fishing, maritime insecurity, and environmental degradation. In response, the government developed the National Ocean Policy, NOP, in 2012, laying the foundation for sustainable exploitation of maritime resources. The policy emphasizes the importance of maritime security, environmental protection, and economic diversification. In 2013, the Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency, NIMSS, launched the Nigerian Maritime Industry Forecast 2013 to 2020, highlighting the government's commitment to developing the blue economy. This initiative aimed to enhance maritime infrastructure, promote research and development, and create an enabling environment for investment in the maritime sector. Nigeria's engagement with the blue economy has evolved through policies like the National Ocean Policy, the Nigerian Maritime Industry Forecast, and the Economic Recovery and Growth Plan, ERGP. These initiatives aim to address historical challenges, promote sustainable practices, and unlock the economic potential of Nigeria's maritime sector. With the creation of the Blue Economy Ministry, Nigeria has joined the league of countries which have committed to the blue economy concept. We have a guest who will shed more light on the topic today. To talk more on our topic this morning, we have Professor Dele Badejo. He's a professor of geography and regional planning on NIPSS or Nabanjo University, OOU, in Ogun State. Thank you for joining us, sir.
Thank you very much for the privilege.
All right.
Thank you.
The new government established a new ministry for blue economy. How relevant is that to Nigeria's economy?
If you don't understand what is blue economy, you may not be able to appreciate the essence of establishing a full-fledged ministry. The blue economy provides a solid interface between land and water. You see, all over the world, especially in Europe, the blue economy alone generates over 250 billion euro annually and engages over 5.4 million people in terms of employment. These benefits, these great possible gains for national development have eluded Nigeria as a country and other African nations for a very long time. So establishing the Nigerian blue economy is even more richer, more wealthier, more of great benefits than our oil and gas, because it incorporates all activities going on water and the adjoining land. Even when we talk of water, we are not talking of the only sea aspect of maritime. It also has along with it the inland waterways, meaning that even the Sokoto River, the Cross River, the Niger and Benue are part of the resources attributed to the blue economy. In the Nigerian environment, the NIPSS, Nigeria Maritime Safety and Administration, conducted a survey, and they realized that Nigeria as a country with the blue economy is actually losing over 121 trillion naira annually by not putting the structure, the blue on ground. So this will provide answer to your question. Is it really relevant? Obviously, it is quite relevant, it is sacrosanct, and it's an added value to other sources of economic transformation of the country. So I want to support the new direction and the new agenda for the blue and for the maritime blue economy of the government.
Are there any specific challenges or opportunities for the blue economy in Nigeria?
Obviously, you don't expect starting something to come on a platter of gold. In the first instance, there has been no existing structure except agencies of government that are tangentially related to the blue economy. For example, the Federal Ministry of Transport is probably the ministry that is directly connected to the marine blue economy structure. But there are other responsibilities associated or being handled by other ministries, like the Federal Ministry of Works, who is in charge of road infrastructure, development, and construction. By so doing, there are a lot of complex overlap that are providing such challenges for initial take-up of blue. Importantly, the benefits obviously outweigh miles apart the challenges that are before the setting up of this ministry, provided the right steps, the right measures, and the approaches that will enable the new ministry to stand well, are pursued and are brought into play. Secondly, as a new ministry, personnel or human power will also be a constraint, because the Federal Ministry of Transport that harbors competing areas that is within its responsibility that are engaged by people in that ministry. Someone who is in the railways, someone on land may not be able to fit in easily, seamlessly into the marine blue economy without retraining and training and the manpower development exposure. For that reason, I want to say that the challenges are that of structural redesign, that of human capacity response, and the third one has to do with existing laws and regulations and conventions that we will need to fine-tune, that will be needed to reward both private sector, government roles to be well played. And a marine economy ministry is well developed and sustained.
How is Nigeria leveraging its coastal resources to promote sustainable practices in the blue economy?
There are a lot of informal activities going on in the coastal and water areas of the country. And because they are predominantly informal, there is no what you call concerted effort at making them formal, regulating, managing, and implementing core local, national, and international regulations.
Now tell us, what initiatives have the Nigerian government implemented to address challenges and promote the growth of the blue economy?
Well, I will say, being a new ministry, there are so many challenges to be resolved. The attitude among Nigerians that when they hold on to a regulation, they hardly want to let go. So there are a lot of challenges from other institutions of government who are unwilling to let go of pathways. So at times, the new arrangement require a very good, chorus, and well-determined, and well-focused approaches in order to allow it to see the light of the day. It has seen the light of the day, but making it more functional and relevant. There is need for us, for government to first of all create a structure of with people who are competent, that are trained, because the pioneer aspect of this institution is very, very important. If you institute and put people that are not very strong in the knowledge of blue stroke marine economy, it may be difficult to establish the ministry on a very sound footing. Because you are introducing a new structure that is alien to virtually everybody. Even those in government are not also well exposed to what marine stroke blue economy stands for and what it stands to achieve. So there is need for robust public engagement, enlightenment, education, and so on. So we need to do that to elevate what people start to gain. You call it in regional planning and economic planning. It is referred to as planning with and not planning for. Many of the people, many of the activities of the marine stroke blue economy that are being pursued now are planning for planning to their attitude from being informal to formal. Obviously, they will not be quick to accept your proposition, because past experiences have shown that when they become formal, government have abandoned them in so many ways. So you need to tell them, to let them know that the new approach and the new dimension of ground is a serious and purposeful one. So all those things, which I believe have not been appropriately directed.
Okay. How does Nigeria balance economic development with environmental conservation in its blue economy strategies?
Madam, the essence of this blue economy is predominant to instill order, to put regulations on ground that will help us to sustain our water transition into eases. Now, if you go across our inland waterways, our coastal waters, you see dredging activities or controlled dredging activities going on. you see a lot of rickety vessels on our waterways, vessels that have failed all regulations, all rules of engagement are brought into our territorial waters, are dumped, and all these people run away. People come with illegal fishing, catch all the fishes, and take them away without Nigeria benefiting from it. All that are, you be surprised that a lot of about the climate change. We're also talking about the thawing of the ice, which is a global phenomenon, and the rising water bodies of the ocean. How do we protect our coastal areas? If all these rules of engagement are not brought in place.
What role do local communities play in the development and success of Nigeria's Blue Economy Initiative?
Madam, that is the success of the blue economy hinges on the local community. You see, you can't sit in Abuja and be controlling the marine to blue economic activities in my village at Iwopi or Epe or at the Delta area, around Bayelsa, or this Ibagua area, in Akwa Ibom, or you go to the Cross River, and this area that you want to change, this is their source of livelihood that forefathers have been doing. So for you to come in and say the government has acquired the land, the government have done this, okay, continue to acquire. So the story is you need to carry them strongly along with you. You need to integrate them into your agenda, especially the local government, the traditional landowners. You see, that is the problem of our land tenure system to date. Despite the fact that the land use decree has been promulgated as far back as 1978, we still have a problem with our land because the local community, they see that land as their God. If you take that land from them, there is nowhere on earth they can go again. You can imagine those that have been washed away. All these landmarks, landmarks, embarkation, control, and so on, are issues that will help them to prolong the lifespan of this their land. So therefore, there must be a genuine and serious and determined handshake between the community and the federal government on this issue of marine blue economy to work perfectly.
How is Nigeria addressing issues such as overfishing and illegal fishing in the context of its blue economy?
You see, I told you I'm a teacher, and at the same time, I'm a researcher. For every statement that is made, there must be scientific, empirical justification. Who says our fishing are over exploited? Who says our waters are over exploited? The roads must be maintained. Our waters cannot be renewed. They are always there. What we just need to do is to control and mitigate all unwanted materials in our waterways and at our coastal areas. And all these the international zones of our waterfront or ocean extent.
Now, Prof, what partnerships and collaborations has Nigeria established with other countries or international organizations to enhance its blue economy efforts?
There are some parastatals of government that have close handshake with the marine to blue economy. And these parastatals are probably the representative of Nigeria in so many international fora and institutions. It is now left for the operators of the marine stroke blue economy to identify these institutions of government, I mean the parastatals, let them know the various conventions, the various bilateral and multilateral agreements that we have reached and already domesticated, and those that are yet to be domesticated, along with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and the Federal Ministry of Justice. Work together, look at all these various regulations, and see how we can energize them more. Because taking them under the marine stroke blue economy will definitely require a new approach to reinvigorate and revitalize all these international law and regulations, of which can be of great relevance to the enhancement of our country's marine stroke blue economy development agenda.
Okay, now let me ask you this, Prof. You actually talked about climate change earlier. Now, let's talk about the impact climate change has had or is having on Nigeria's blue economy, and what policies are in place that are taken or that have been taken to mitigate these effects. Are there enough policies, or are policies strong enough?
Climate change is a universal phenomenon. And climate change knows no boundaries. If you wake up today, I'm happy. The weather condition in Plateau State, especially Jos, has changed. And there's nothing you can do, because the source of some of these changes are beyond the Nigeria territorial integrity. The dust that we are feeling in Lagos today, and we are being told to go back to the wearing of masks, is an indicator that this climate change has no boundary. So it's a universal phenomenon. Nigeria is a member is a signatory to numerous climate change conventions and signatories. And more importantly, there is a very strong unit or agency of climate change with the Federal Ministry of Environment. But what I'm trying to say, Vanessa, is that the major aspect of climate change that affects the coastal water, our sea, is more of the thawing of the ice in the Arctic and the Arctic Ocean. Arctic Ocean, the temperatures are rising, compelling the waters and the ice to thaw. And when it thaws, it finds its way into the ocean. And because of the increase in the volume of the thawing of water, it leads to coastal rising. So in the coastal areas of Nigeria, some coastal areas are being washed off gradually. And this is where the Blue Marine Economy Ministry has a very urgent responsibility to play, which has to do with establishing, developing, constructing, instituting infrastructure along those prone areas that are easily affected by the rising waves of water across our country. This cannot be done without deep studies. We need to carry out coast to coast, area to area studies, not doing studies around port towns and port cities and using that to generalize for the entire coastal length of close to 990 kilometers of the Nigerian waters and over 10,000 kilometers of our inland waterways. Today, there are 37 inland waterways in Nigeria. Out of these inland waterways, we only have adequate information between the Niger River and the Benue River. With two add up to 37, what are the river information that we have? What are the potentials? What are the benefits that are growable from all those areas. It is all those things that we need to look into. Go to Barrow. Barrow report has been commissioned and be opened up. But how functional is it? Because the access to Barrow report of probably about 10 to 50, 20 kilometers is not accessible. So all these are issues that the marine blue economy should develop what to call inventory. And that inventory cannot be done by someone from UK who will not speak Efik, who cannot speak Urobo, who cannot speak Yoruba, he cannot speak English. So they will just sit down in one of the best hotels in Abuja and sublet to a few people say, just have get me something. And these are things you will not put on board and call people in Abuja to come and lodge. I always tell them that you cannot use a month, 3 weeks to understand the socio-cultural dimension and attributes of Nigeria. And you cannot use one decision to capture the whole country. So that's what we call differentiation. That's what we call area differentiation. And those area differentiation must come to play in putting up policies and directives that will sustain the marine blue economy of the country.
Okay, finally, Prof, you just mentioned policies. What policies would you recommend for Nigeria's Blue Economy Ministry to better or improve?
But without prejudice, in 2020, precisely July 2030, we prepared an action plan titled Actualization of Blue Economy and National Development Strategy in Nigeria from 2020 to 2025. Without apology, that document was submitted to the NIPSS. And I want to say that the NIPSS constituted a committee, and whatever the outcome of that committee is yet to come to light. The issue is that there are quite a lot of researchers that I know in this country that are, because of their love, have carried out a lot of studies using their own personal resources, but because of their love for the country and because of their commitment to ensure that this country does not continue to roll opposite direction. We submitted it. As I'm talking with you, that the whole policy document is with me. But the fact remains that because we don't generate dollar, so they look for people that with apology. I'm not trying to castigate anybody, but professionalism is the core to establish a very sound policy. But a policy that is devoid of surveys, a policy that is devoid of inventory, a policy that is devoid of stakeholders' consideration is failed or has failed on arrival. So we need to do what is required and necessary to ensure that before we can come up with a policy. And if we need a long-term policy, and we will not develop a framework through which to monitor the stages at which this policy has reached in order to help us to monitor ourselves. If there are no ways of measuring what you are doing, it's like conducting a class for students without conducting an exam to measure their capacity and ability. So the policy we are talking about goes beyond mere putting 3 or 4 or 10 people together, putting them in a comfortable position, coming up with a policy. You see, a policy of blue economy is a multilateral, multi-professional type of group that must bring up a policy that will help to sustain the marine stroke blue economy. The private sector is essential. The insurance sector is important. The communities are important. The traditional rulers are very, very important. The local government is also very, very important. Madam, how can we have a policy of marine stroke blue economy when water transportation is under exclusive list? As an exclusive list constitutionally, it means the state, the local government, the individual cannot have any say. And so people strive on this informality because of the regulations guiding it. When the railway was taken away from exclusive list into what you call what's this concurrent list, you see that states are beginning to talk about developing their own rail infrastructure. So you cannot release something to me and tie my hands to it, meaning that you are not ready to release it to me. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. We have less than a minute. We have less than a minute to round up. So at this point, I want to thank you for giving us your time, despite your busy schedule, to talk to us on Nigeria's blue economy. We really appreciate it. Thank you, Professor Dele Badejo, Professor of Geography and Regional Planning. We appreciate you. Thank you so much.
It's new, it's fresh, it's all about policies and strategies. Watch out for NIPSS Policy TV programs on NTA News 24. Tune in on Mondays, Tuesdays, Fridays, and Saturdays, 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. on DSTV Channel 419, GoTV Channel 26, Star Times Channels 101 and 433, and Free TV Channel 703. Miss this and miss out on policies that will affect you and our country. Join us.
There are even pirates that come from other countries to infiltrate us. And then we have people that throw things indiscriminately into the oceans, like non-degradable materials that are thrown into the oceans. And then we have aquatic life in the waters that are destroyed as a result of this dumping of refuse into the seas and oceans. Why is it like that? Now, we say that life is a symbiotic relationship whereby the marine life plays a vital role to the biodiversity. What do I mean by the biodiversity? The plants, the fauna, that is the animals, and the flora, that is the plants. Now, how do we manage that? We manage by ensuring that you don't throw things into the oceans so that it affects the marine life, thereby raising money or revenue for the nation. But we allow those things affect our water bodies, whereby the animals or the aquatic life in water die off, and it has a way of affecting the lifespan of man, because the aquatic life plays a symbiotic relationship with the terrestrial lifestyle.
I think on that aspect, personally, to my own opinion, and I don't know others, I don't think we have generated much on that aspect of marine. Though, I don't know the rate of shipping level of product coming going out of the country. But I think on that aspect, where it will be best known to those in that field. For me personally, I think the revenue in that aspect, it may be high, it may be low. It depends on the current status of what those in the marine sector are doing. But I know no matter what, at least there's a revenue coming from that end compared to other sectors in the economy.
How can we generate revenue when we know that people that should be arrested for dumping refuse, even big companies go as far as dumping acid into the oceans that kill some of the even those things in the ocean. They are not, if they are brought to book and then prosecuted, revenue will be generated, and then it will not give other private sectors or private individuals that will come to want to invest in the business of marine and ocean how do I put it, ocean business. They will not come in, thereby fleecing our resources away.
Whatever is mine can never pass me. Do what you are supposed to do to push forward.
Welcome to Alumni Chat. Today, our guest on Alumni Chat is Mrs. Ebisan Onyema, MNI, Sec 41. Thank you for joining us on this segment.
Thank you for having me.
All right. Okay.
Thank you.
Now, tell us, what was your experience here as a participant at the National Institute? Tell us.
Very interesting.
Questions.
You know, initially when I was nominated by Institute of Directors, I didn't really understand what it takes to be an alumni of Annie. You know, I was a little bit confused because, you know, we as business people, we look at, I don't really know NIPSS much before I went into NIPSS. Because I was focusing on my business. We're focusing on business here in Nigeria, in Lagos. So I was initially nominated by Institute of Directors. I didn't really understand what it takes to be an alumni of Annie. I put questions. I was asking people questions about NIPSS because I really didn't know much about NIPSS. I only know little about NIPSS because of was this the Minister of Rubadu, you know, during the time of his moving to NIPSS, that was the time that NIPSS came into my head. So when I asked my husband about NIPSS, oh, that's a good thing. I didn't know he actually, because he did his youth service in jobs. So he knew what NIPSS was. I really didn't know because I don't go to the north. I am basically a Lagos girl. You know, I really didn't know what it takes. So when he mentioned that, that's a good thing. So I became interested in it. And I spoke to my boss about it. So he encouraged me as well. And he's a white guy, you know, Alistair McDougall, the CEO of Every. So I said, oh, you can go. I said, oh, I was so happy. So I went. It wasn't what I thought. I was thinking it's my usual training, like we do training abroad. You know what you know how you go for training with your colleagues. I didn't know, somebody that has been giving instruction as the managing director. I was the one giving instructions. I was the one giving directives. I was the one leading the show, So I got to a place where somebody have to tell me what to do. It became like I was so confused, Initially, I said, how am I going to cope here? Looking at military people, you know how they like giving order. It's not just directing you as in terms of politely telling you what to do. That is a military way of doing things. I said, wait a minute here. Am I in the wrong place or where am I? But to be very honest with you, I got used to it, but initially it wasn't funny. Somebody directing from the top. Now somebody telling you what to do in a very militarized form.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not funny. So that was how I started. And, I never knew about looking at the way the government is being run. It was when I went to NIPSS, I got to understand how the government operates in Nigeria.
How did that experience impact on your person and your career?
Yes, before I came to NIPSS, I couldn't stand people not getting things right first time as a business person. We want to make profit, we want to make money. We can't afford to have people that can't think right first time. I was very impatient as a person. I can't afford to wait for you to think. I can't wait for slow thinkers. You have to be, very fast. But when I go to NIPSS calm me down. I listen more to my subordinates. I listen more to people that works with me. I get to see their own side of the story. I don't believe that, before we are at the top there, we give instruction, we dish out instructions for people to get it done. We can't wait for you to mess up. We can't afford to wait for you to think in your slow manner of doing things. You know what I mean? But thank God I went to NIPSS. Trust me.
That's wonderful, wonderful. Now, tell us, what is your philosophy of life?
Yes, it's very simple. It's getting things, it's doing the right thing. Just doing the right thing. I love to do the right thing at all times. Anywhere I find myself, I have to get it done right first time. That is how I operate. That is my philosophy in life, because when you get it done right, things work better.
Okay. Now, how would you react to this narrative that ANI, that is members of the National Institute, are an elitist group?
Yes, that is what people think. But let me tell you something about this. It's basically our corporation. We have that kind of bond. We have a bond. We know what we have passed through. Anybody that has gone through what we have passed through, you tend to have trust in whatever you do as a person. So we trust ourselves. We believe what we can do. I think that is why the populace admire us and think that we are like a cartel. We are. I will say that we are, because we have gone through a lot as brothers. We have gone through a lot as professionals. You see the bonding that we have. You can't take it away from us as NIPSS members. You cannot take it away. That is how it is.
Now, how impactful has ANI been to the Institute?
I must tell you that we are engaging ourselves, especially in Lagos chapter. We try as much as possible to meet. And we as members, we don't just meet alone as members. Those of our older members that can't meet with us, we try as much as possible to visit them. And they ask questions about NIPSS, because the progress of NIPSS is our own progress. The success of NIPSS is our success. So we can't afford not to make NIPSS to be successful. Because that elite group that they term us to be is because of the NIPSS that we have in Kuru Jos. So anything that has to do with NIPSS, Kuru Jos, we take it very seriously, because that is where that elite is coming from.
Annie is NIPSS. NIPSS is Annie. They can exist without the other. How can Annie assist or help NIPSS Policy TV to grow?
Firstly, let me thank the DG, Professor Motayo, and his team for bringing this to the light. It's something that we must appreciate, because let me tell you something about the world. If you don't tell your story, nobody will tell you the way you want your story to be said. We need this, and it came at the very right time. NIPSS, we as Annie, we are not, Annie is not, like I told you before I started, I didn't know what Annie is. I didn't know what NIPSS is doing. So with this kind of initiative that the NIPSS has taken, is going to help to tell the story, what NIPSS is, what policies, how they are trying to bring, helping the government in policy making, policy implementation, policy recommendations, all the policies that NIPSS is engaging the participants now is now coming to the limelight, because you have to tell the story what we do, So this is very encouraging, and I want the communication not to stop, because you need to engage Annie if you need whatever you need, because if you didn't engage me, for example, you wouldn't know I exist. You wouldn't know that there's somebody, the managing director of Every Nigeria. You wouldn't know that is a woman. You wouldn't know that we have an issue in terms of businesses, in terms of taxation, in terms of infrastructure. We need to tell the story so that we say it until the government hears. The government has been hearing, but of course, when it's coming from NIPSS, it will be taken seriously, because they know that whatever comes from NIPSS, it is not just, we are not just talking, it's something that is an issue to the society. That is why NIPSS is there as a policy institution.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Ebisan Onyema, MNI, participant Sec 41. It's been a delight talking to you. We really appreciate it. Thank you so much, and we wish you well.
Keep watching.
Keep watching. Keep watching NIPSS Policy TV.
It's new, it's fresh, it's all about policies and strategies. Watch out for NIPSS Policy TV programs on NTA News 24. Tune in on Mondays, Tuesdays, Fridays, and Saturdays, 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. on DSTV channel 419, GoTV channel 26, Star Times channels 101 and 433, and Free TV channel 703. Miss this and miss out on policies that will affect you and our country. Join us.
As Nigeria navigates the dynamic currents of the blue economy, a delicate equilibrium between economic progress and environmental conservation becomes paramount within an unwavering commitment to global objectives and effective governance. Nigeria strives to not only unlock the potential of its blue economy, but also serve as a dedicated custodian of our invaluable marine resources. Through determination, foresight, and collaborative efforts, Nigeria has the potential to sustain Blue growth, making a global impact beyond its shores. That's our package. Thank you for your attention. I am Lydia Odijochi. See you next time.